Hello everybody and welcome to my first commentary track here on the YouTube channel. Of course, this is audio on YouTube, so I'm going to try to put some pictures up from the movie and roll some clips from time to time to make sure this is still synced up. Today we are watching Independence Day, one of the key movies from my teenage years and really a mainstay this time of year. I saw that July 4th was coming up. I said, why not do a commentary track? So this is a lot of trying stuff out. Maybe we're going to do more of these here on the channel in the future. I'd like to. If you want to know when we do these in the future, you can hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so it'll notify you whenever we do videos like this. But let's just have some fun. Let's watch Independence Day. So like I said, I'm watching it here at home. You're not going to be really able to hear the audio for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want you to be able to hear my voice, but also I don't want to get the big copyright flag for playing even the audio of the movie. So every once in a while, like I said, maybe every 5 or 10 minutes, I'll run a clip on screen to make sure that you're still synced up and then give you some flag posts here and there. But I'm set here. I'm ready. I've got a bowl of popcorn here. I have a White Claw, which is something that I'm trying now. Apparently, people are making billions of dollars off of adding alcohol to Clearly Canadian, which was big when I was a kid. But then I'm an old man. If I'd thought of that, then I could have been a billionaire. But this is a good backup, right? So I got the popcorn, I've got the White Claw, I've got a couple cats here. I have my wonderful partner here, Mara. She may chime in from time to time as well.
Chime!
So let's watch one of the real classics of the mid-90s, Independence Day. Right now, I'm looking at the screen. It is the very beginning of the 20th Century Fox logo, and I'm about to hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. 20th Century Fox logo destroyed now, much like many of the cities of the world in this film, now a part of Disney. Who would have known? I would like to see these aliens brought into the MCU, though.
Do you remember seeing this in the theater, Dan?
I do remember seeing this in the theater. I actually have a funny story. As we're seeing the title 20th Century Fox Presents on the screen here, my friend and I went the night before this opened to try to buy tickets on its opening day back in July 1996, and at that time you could not do that. You had to go buy tickets the day of the show, but the manager of the theater, as we see July 2nd here, came out and said that my friend and I could come that night and watch the movie with the staff at midnight. And so we did, and we got to see the movie for free at midnight. This is before they did midnight shows on the regular. And it was a lot of fun, but I do have to caution kids out there. I mean, no one's really going to do that because the entire way that movies operate has changed. And right now, as we're recording this, there aren't even any movie theaters open, or very few. But I will say this is maybe the only time that a theater manager inviting two 13-year-old boys to a private midnight screening of a movie has actually worked out to be the way that it's described. So we got very lucky. It was a more innocent time. It was a more pure time. But yeah, I saw this movie with a really good friend of mine at midnight in an almost empty theater with the employees of the Carmike Cinema at the other center in North Little Rock, Arkansas. That theater, now gone. It is a bookstore now, which also are soon to be gone. So that venue has been the host of two different obsolete businesses.
That's the bookstore? I thought that was the gym.
No, the other movie theater that was near me is now a gym.
Ah.
Actually, the theater's not a gym. They tore down the theater and built the gym where it was. So that was the Lakewood 8, also in North Little Rock, Arkansas. So this shot, obviously, very heavily influenced, obviously by Star Wars, but also as the ship passes overhead, we were rewatching Alien. I think this probably owes more to Alien than to Star Wars, because this is very similar to the Nostromo passing overhead in Alien. But the idea of the ship is huge, and especially when you see it on a big screen. It's the end of the world as we know it. Maybe the most on-the-nose music choice in any movie ever made. 90s REM, there really is nothing like it. Now, we have a character here that I refer to as Asian Goldblum, because if you watch, he dresses just like Jeff Goldblum in this movie. His mannerisms are just like Jeff Goldblum. See, he's got the open shirt over the tank top. He's got the glasses. He's got the big poofy hair. He sort of has this dorky energy about alien signals. This is the Asian version of Jeff Goldblum, I think.
This isn't an insanely beautiful woman I'm hanging out.
Sir, I think you should listen to this.
Ow. That would just slam the phone against the...
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Kids don't know what that's like, because kids don't use landline telephones.
No.
They don't know how sound travels differently than it does on a cell phone.
They also
on an
don't know.
iPhone.
They don't know that money comes out of them. So we all see, radio signal from another world. That he's got big Goldblum energy, is what I'm saying. There's so many that guys in this movie. That this guy, obviously on screen, is one of those that guys. And that's another thing that I love about this movie is that there's like three main dudes and then everyone else, and they all have like an equal part in the movie. So if you're gonna say like who co-starred in this movie, it's hard to put your finger on it because there's so many people that you could give that to. So this is Robert Loggia with Dan Lauria, who played the dad in The Wonder Years. Robert Loggia, if you don't know who he is, he had a very varied career. He was in The Sopranos. He was in Big. He's the guy dancing on the piano with Tom Hanks. He was in Over the Top, where he couldn't decide whether Sylvester Stallone's name was Hawk or Hawks.
That's true.
And I play a little game with Robert Loggia. I call it the Mr. President game. It's where if you have a beverage in front of you, just take a drink every time he starts a sentence with Mr. President. But the character actors, they really have such a quilt work of great just faces and names. We'll see James Rebhorn in a little bit. So many different people that make this movie tick.
Then wake him. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, 90s Bill Pullman.
Yeah, Bill Pullman was great in the 90s. And then we have President Laura Roslin here before the end of the world in her term as President of the United States. Mary McDonnell and her. If you don't know, that would be the actress who played Anne, among many other people, but Mae Whitman, who played Anne on Arrested Development.
Egg?
Anne.
I believe
Bland.
you mean egg.
Ham.
Egg.
Egg, yes.
Sorry, he says it egg.
Yes. The McLaughlin Group. Really something every child of the 90s would love watching on television in the morning. Obviously, the president is supposed to be a Clintonian type figure. One of my favorite lines here. That game couldn't have been pretty. He has such a cadence in this movie. There's another one coming up. Isn't it amazing how quickly everyone can turn against you? I don't know what Bill Pullman's doing in this movie, but I like it. This is Margaret Colin. I think there was one White House set that was just recycled for every 90s movie, American President, this movie. Why rebuild it every time? Just go to the same one every time. Quickly, everyone can turn against you. Cut, beautiful. That's my impression of Roland Emmerich on set. Like, that was wonderful, Bill. I lost the delivery. Let's move on. He sounds nothing like that, but that's how I'm going to choose to portray him throughout the rest of this commentary.
I'm okay with that.
I've always liked this massive satellite, or the satellite going into the ship. I think it's such a good way of like showing scale, and that's something that this movie does really well. It shows the scale of the alien ships in sometimes very cool ways. This was an Academy Award winner for Best Special Effects, and I think that a lot of those special effects still hold up. It's a mix of practical effects, of models, of CGI, because it was at a time where you couldn't do everything in the computer. And then we have Judd Hirsch, who was not, I don't believe, that old. I'm going to look up exactly how old Judd Hirsch was when this movie was made. So Judd Hirsch, 61 years old when this movie was made. I guess he's in early retirement. I guess he's in early retirement with Jeff Goldblum here.
I mean, my dad had retired before 61, so
Yeah.
it's possible.
I guess so. He's 17 years older than Jeff Goldblum. So,
It's possible.
yeah, I guess it's possible. I think there was one instruction given to Judd Hirsch throughout this movie, and it was more Jewish.
I can verify that that is, in fact, the performance that we've been given. Also, what jerk rides their bicycle inside of a building?
This is bad office etiquette.
Well, plus,
To ride a bicycle inside. Okay, and here we have Harvey Fierstein again. I love that this is just a glorious montage of wonderful character actors, and you have Harvey Fierstein running around going, David, David, David. That's what I call his character. It's just David. This role that he has means nothing on paper. That you cast actors like Harvey Fierstein, and then you remember these roles and these characters. That's what I liked about movies of this type in the '90s. Was you would cast these smaller roles with very memorable actors, and then everything would start to kind of pop a little bit. This, like I said, this is a dumb movie. This movie's really stupid. It gets by on pure charisma, and they cast a really charismatic group of actors, minus these three. I have to say, I've never liked any of these kids. Keanu wannabe fella. You can tell they obviously would have gone with Keanu maybe 6 or 7 years ahead prior. Plus, it's just this idea of, I get it. You have to have the whole Randy Quaid thing for this big punchline at the end of the movie, but the whole thing about the drunk pilot and the thing, and the kid's sick, and I find myself wanting to just get through these scenes. If Randy Quaid is your favorite character in this movie, I'm happy for you, but I generally am just like, okay, let's. How slow is he riding that motorcycle too? That's ridiculous. It's just so zany and cartoonish. It just, I don't know. There's a little sting coming up here, and I'll point it out, a music sting that is so cartoony that it has always. It bothered me when I was 13 years old. When he does his little pirouette down to the end of the plane.
I know what you mean.
Hang on, here we go.
Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
It's like, is he Bugs Bunny? Is he the Roadrunner? I don't know. It's too cartoonish for me, and I know that's stupid to say in a movie like this. The whole movie is a cartoon, so for me to say that performance and these characters are too broad for this movie, that's pretty bad. And he's drinking like Otis the drunk on the Andy Griffith Show. I don't know.
I assumed you were just going to say like a fish, but good on you.
Mm-hmm. I always like this sort of updating of the classical flying saucers visual, and that the idea that flying saucers themselves may have been inspired by earlier visits of these aliens to people. Obviously, Randy Quaid's character had been abducted.
Run with it if they want to embarrass themselves.
NASA's been up my butt all morning. They want to know our position.
Our official position is...
What is this elevator? That's like a gilded elevator. Every time I think she's just walking into a hallway, and then those doors close, and it's like a. Where is she upstairs? I don't know. Maybe that's how the president remodeled the house, the White House.
Well, I can't say that I've ever been to the White House, so I don't know.
So James Rebhorn playing Secretary of Defense here, another great character actor, sadly has passed away. Robert Loggia also sadly has passed away.
We have over 50% of the armed forces out on weekend leave, not to mention the commanders and troops that are in town for the 4th of July parade.
It's never a good thing when two fellas in very nice-looking uniforms walk in with a briefcase. You're not going to get good news. Plus, is that briefcase really necessary for that piece of intelligence? Like, is that intelligence so classified that it must be carried around in a nuclear football briefcase that appears to just have a lighted box inside of it that you can just hold that up to the window? I don't think that the light briefcase is necessary.
Well, furthermore, the way that they described the military personnel is incorrect. Weekend leave. Leave is like pre-authorized vacation. You're on weekend liberty, which means you're free to go do what you want on the weekend, and you don't have to show up to work unless you have duty.
An alien invasion?
Exactly, but I mean, you're not on weekend leave. Like, when you recall someone from leave, very, very different. Oh, also, by the way...
So, Mara, you are a Navy veteran. You
Yes.
know how these... Take us through this. Let me... How does this work? Is this looking good, or is this very, very poor?
Well, again, my extensive time spent training on a submarine that never ever went under the water, and then my extensive time spent on a not submarine called an aircraft carrier. I can verify this is 100% accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, by the way, the military doesn't refer to it as the Persian Gulf. They call it the Arabian Gulf. Just another fun little tidbit for you there, at least as of right now.
So this idea that half the armed forces is just gone and unreachable is a bit of a fallacy. Let's call it artistic liberty.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't in the military in the mid-90s. I wasn't even in the double digits of being old in the mid-90s. But liberty and leave, still two very discreetly different things that have existed that way for a long time.
Yeah.
I should have thrown on my coveralls to watch this. That would have been fun. Maybe when we do the Hunt for Red October.
It is clearing the mountains, moving too slowly to be a comet or meteor.
I love that they're getting this news off of television. We've had all of these breathless briefings going on, and yet ultimately they're watching it on television. That guy on the cell phone back there is very, very concerned about what's going on.
Just one more.
Did we have a Mr. President there?
Yes, we did, I believe.
Okay, so I think that was our first Mr. President. So I think we're at one. We're gonna hit some real good ones here toward the end. You know, if you got zero visibility, your instruments are malfunctioning, you have no visibility, and then you're flying into what looks like a big wall of flame, maybe turn around before this point. Oh, poor guys. They tried. Ooh. See, I like that effect. I mean, I feel bad for them, but I like that effect.
Alex organized a military escort to
President, I strongly recommend we move.
Oh, here we go. Mr. President, I strongly recommend we move you. Sounds a little more like David's dad than it does Robert Bush. Isn't that the opposite of what they do for the State of the Union? Isn't the idea that you never want the vice president, the Joint Chiefs, and the entire cabinet in one place? Because ultimately this is what happens in the movie, is they're all wiped out. I still don't know exactly what. I think in the extended version, they discuss what it is that Jeff Goldblum does. Something to do with cable. But he's not a cable repairman. He's like a signal technician of some sort.
So eventually it's going to disappear. You listening?
Can you believe that?
I guess we could have played the Mr. President game, and we could have played the David game, because there's a lot more of those coming up too. If you watch this again with the commentary, you can also play the David game. It's kind of like having DirecTV, picture quality wise, or Spectrum. Wonderful Harvey, that was the perfect energy, not over the top at all. Let's move on. Look at these chuckleheads. Again, even down to like this group of, I can only call them goons, really. These goons that talk to him in the diner. Really a-holes too, because like either the guy was abducted by aliens or he's like delusional and crazy, and you're just they obviously do this every day. Like it's obvious that they sit around the repair shop or whatever and they're just like, hey, let's go pick on the vet with PTSD and delusions. Like that really makes their day. They're really the pathetic ones, I think, of everyone. God, the guy drooling. The one guy with the beard just dripping his coffee. Like you know, Russ may have alien stories, but at least he can drink properly. That much we've established is he's very good at drinking. Now look. How much of the direction in this film was, I want you to look. Okay, now continue to look. Now look up. Now continue to look. All right, kids, run out of the trailer, and I want you to look. These looking shots are actually, and we'll see it again when we go to New York, these were some of the biggest stars of the movie for people that watched the trailers, because that was so much of the trailer, was these looking shots. So it's almost like they are co-stars in the movie too, particularly the New York ones. We'll see those when it comes flying into New York, but so now we got Vivica A. Fox, we've got Will Smith. A star-making turn for Will Smith. Bad Boys was the year before, but this movie like blew Will Smith up. Like, he was popular due to Fresh Prince. Bad Boys had come out, but like this movie was like Will Smith, the movie star, and then the next summer with Men in Black, pretty crazy stuff. Much like Anne left behind, the daughter. Actually, no one had noticed she was missing for hours until she came running in. He'd assumed that she was down in the bunker. I think every president, when they're inaugurated, you get like a stock number of pictures that you put behind your desk. The Dalai Lama, the Pope. You don't even actually have to meet those world leaders. You're just given pictures of yourself with them, as if that had happened. You can pull off to the side of the road. You don't have to. I don't know. It's a wonderful location. It's just a shame that office was destroyed. So yeah, these folks, these two guys looking, and then this businessman that's about to come look, like these were like big stars of the movie. Like I actually am happy for these actors because like they got primo spots in the trailer. They were the faces of Independence Day as much as Jeff Goldblum was. So good for them. The trajectory a little weird because it kind of comes in from a couple different sides of Manhattan, but yeah, whatever. If this is what you're worried about the most watching this movie, then there's something wrong. just love the scale of that. I mean, I agree. Yes, perhaps the compositing and stuff on that shot, it may be a little dated. But now, see, you're a police officer. You at least should know to pull over to the side of the road. This is. I was gonna say I'd expect better, but maybe not. Still, and even that armored truck driver, you'd think that they would be driving safely. When the people that should be driving the most safely are not driving, then it's chaos, as we're seeing here.
Oh my God.
I wonder how they picked which landmarks. Because you have the White House, you have the Empire State Building. Empire State Building, I get, it's kind of central to Manhattan. The White House, it's symbolic. But then here in Los Angeles, you have the I guess it used to be the U.S. Bank Building. I don't know exactly what it's called now, but like that's just a very random place to pick in Los Angeles. I guess because maybe they went with the tallest building. But, I might pick the Hollywood sign or the Chinese Theater if you're going for symbolic. Pink's Hot Dogs. Now, my favorite thing about this joke that Will Smith makes is that he seems to legitimately think that because there was an earthquake, that the neighbors that morning decided to move out of their home and were just abandoning it. That is an open door act of urination, by the way. It's I'm sorry. I don't agree with that. Unless you're alone in the house, I don't agree with it.
Well, yeah, a small child lives there.
Yeah.
You don't know where children are all the time.
No.
I'm pretty sure they move around, on their own.
That kid could have come in through the dog door and just stood there watching you pee, and that's just awkward. Another thing, who gets the newspaper and stands in the driveway reading the newspaper? Now, I understand, again, you have to do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, so he can watch all the neighbors looking, and then you have to have a dramatic thing for him to put down and look at and see out to see where the spaceship is. But I like to bring in the paper, if I took the paper, which I don't, and, read it inside. Another big trailer shot there. The big wall of screens, on a normal day, what is the purpose of that? Other than just kind of a 57 channels thing. The funny thing being, you hear later on that Atlanta was destroyed. So very possible that David sent Marty's mother to a certain death.
I'd also like to point out for kids that have no idea what Fruitopia is, in the mid-90s, Fruitopia was life.
Yeah.
Like the way that people now, like, I don't know, some form of, what's that stinky stuff everyone drinks?
Kombucha?
Kombucha, yeah. That was the 90s version of, like, the thing everyone drank all the time.
I never liked Fruitopia. It was ever present, but I never liked it.
There's something wrong with you.
Oh, that is wonderful, Harvey. Perfect. Yes, I love that reaction. No, it's not over the top. No, it's perfect. And see, this is the other thing I never got. All the monitors are on a different channel, and then they go to like mosaic mode. I guess there's a setting for like dramatic effect on all of these monitors. I love the staff lady who doesn't really get a... She's so... Watch the staff lady who's just sitting... She is so worried that she's going to ruin this press conference. She gets a shush in here.
It's not paranoia. The embedding's very subtle. It's probably been overlooked.
Unrelated, and I'm sure that if you guys have watched anything else Dan has done, that you've probably heard this already, and we don't need to go into specifics, but I still love, one of my favorite movie experiences is when Dan shushed a child.
Listen, it was during the movie Justice League. I didn't like the movie, but that didn't mean that no one else in the theater was liking it. It was not like a 3-year-old child. There was a 10-year-old child who had been talking through most of the movie. I gave the parent that was present ample time to quiet the child down. The exact opposite was happening. And so, yes, I shushed the child, and you know what? Not another peep for the entire movie. So they canceled his
Now,
leave?
he said he was on leave, which means he probably had prearranged, pre-authorized leave. Which is it's quite possible on long holiday weekends, especially depending on where your base is. Mm-hmm. You want to go out of town, you have to have approval to do that.
Yeah. So he's stationed at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, which is in Orange County. So that makes sense, distance-wise, that he would have to get down there, or could get down there, because it's close enough to drive in his nice car, very nice convertible, parked on the street in front of the house, with the top down. I thought that they were a good couple in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked them together in this movie. I don't know if they ever did... I don't know if they ever did another movie together. They should have. The kid, I think, played his kid on Fresh Prince.
Wait, what?
I think the kid played like his son on Fresh Prince, or like...
Am I dumb? Like, I don't I mean, I guess I didn't watch Fresh Prince long enough, and I was really
Or
paying
was it
more
like
attention
his
to
son?
Carlton.
It was like a Nicky. He played Nicky Banks. Yeah, he played Nicky Banks. So he was a child actor with Will Smith in multiple projects.
Okay,
is what I'm
I
saying.
thought you meant it was like his child. It's like, am I forgetting a
No.
big segment of Fresh
Sorry.
Prince?
I say his because it was a very familial bond. But yeah,
Right.
they had worked together on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air before this movie. His name is Ross Bagley. He plays Dylan in the film. Now, I love how... God, that makes me so nervous. Goldblum almost gets a fistful of buckshot there. Like, that is just bad discipline. His father's ready to shoot whoever was on the other side of that door.
Well,
Which, first of all, I don't think that looters knock on the door.
also, it doesn't look like in that neighborhood that's what's happening right
Well,
now. It looks like people are just trying to leave.
That's the other thing. Is like people aren't looting. They're like throwing their... I think they're throwing their own possessions out of their houses. They weren't like taking other people's possessions. I think that David's father...
I think he's old and paranoid.
I think he wanted to just do some purge stuff. And he was just looking for any excuse.
Well, you better hope he had buckshot. If he had birdshot in there, then it's a wash.
Now, the thing I've always wondered is you can see the daylight out there behind the president's wife, which means she's not under that spaceship. So why did she go from being not under the spaceship to under the spaceship to leave, and then obviously having a helicopter crash?
You're applying far too much discerning analysis.
I know. I'm putting too much logic into this movie, which is, again, very stupid. A very dumb movie. But it's fun to point these things out. Like this thing, I'm not angry about these things. It's just fun to apply, some sort of a logical filter to this movie. They take and then they go. Shh, 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 shh. I love Jeff Goldblum shushing.
Love to hear him shush a child.
Yeah. Now they're going from New York to Washington, but the traffic is only going in one direction, which is a little odd. It's like everyone has unanimously decided which direction they're going to flee. I love that in the midst of aliens arrive on Earth, they had time on the news broadcast to cover local drunk arrested at bar, complete with file photos and interviewing other people in the we watch the local news. There are bigger things going. Like if I were watching breaking news about aliens and they were just like, meanwhile, a local drunk was arrested today, I would say, like, maybe you can get back to the part about ships from interstellar space arriving on Earth and hovering over every major metropolitan area.
Well, particularly back then. Like right now, when we have 24/7 news coverage, sure, you can filter in some stuff about Russell the drunk because you got to have a little break.
Yeah.
You got to break up your news coverage of the end of the world with something, and it pertained slightly to the end of the world. But back then, news was not what it is now. It was not ever present and just there.
I love that he says the same line twice in a row. We gotta get as far away as you. Yeah, I know. You just yelled it to the entire trailer park. We all heard you. Like, is he playing Cousin Eddie in this movie? I've always liked that. Again, it's very kind of LA-centric, with the idea of telling Los Angelinos not to fire their guns at a spacecraft. I love the line, "You may inadvertently trigger an interstellar war."
You want to do the honors for me, man?
Aliens arrive on Earth, but the mail is still being slipped into lockers here for the military. Now, here's something I've never understood. First of all, obviously, Harry Connick Jr., another wonderful face to add to this gumbo of a cast that's going on in this movie.
Gumbo.
And I say that because of his roots in New Orleans. Secondly, this idea... Okay, before we get to that. This is such a contrived joke because you can tell they wanted to do this thing where somebody thought that he was proposing. So you have to get Harry Connick Jr. down on one knee. Then he picks up this ring. Who holds, like, if you're giving something back to someone, who palms it and holds it up like this? It's the hoops that you have to jump through. But then, okay, is there an ethics and morals officer at NASA that checks to see what everyone's spouse or partner does? Because this idea that if he's dating a stripper, that he will not be allowed to fly the space shuttle. Is that, I don't even know.
I mean, particularly in the days before social media. Like, how was anyone going to find this out? Plus, you know.
What relevance does that have?
PR?
I guess, but like, you're telling me
I'm
that
not saying I agree with it.
if Neil Armstrong's wife, Claire Foy, had been an exotic dancer, you're saying that he would have been disallowed from walking on the moon?
Well, no, because he's a baby goose.
This idea that, like, he cannot be a shuttle pilot because Jasmine is a stripper is I don't know. I think, and this could be true, I think that Harry Connick Jr. is trying to break them up. Because I think that engagement joke that he made may perhaps be a little bit of wish fulfillment on his part. Perhaps that's why that happened. It is forced because he forced that to happen.
I mean, not necessarily, I'm sure you're saying from like an unrequited love perspective, but simply the jealousy of knowing that he wouldn't be his number one anymore.
No, I'm saying that Harry Connick Jr. was in love with Will Smith.
I mean, he could have been, but I just mean, even if you assume in the most possible platonic sense, I mean, you can still not want your best bud, your bro, your wingman to, not look at you first.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never had a friend that tried to break up another friend's relationship, even if they had no feelings for them and had no feelings for their person?
No. That's
really?
awful.
I must have known terrible people. It's true.
Now, this seems like a huge national security risk. First of all, even given this crowd, I would hope that White House guards would say perhaps the person in front of the White House putting a large electronic device on top of their car should be investigated or looked at. But also the idea that they would allow a civilian the technology to locate within a window's distance the chief of staff inside the White House. And the idea that she keeps her number listed for emergencies.
Well, here's the other thing. Again, young people, there used to be a thing called a telephone book.
Yes.
It was a big, heavy volume
Yes.
full of very thin pages that you would look at if you, like, let's just say you met someone, like, oh, it's the first day of school, you meet somebody, you're your new best friend, you forgot to get their phone number. You'd go and you'd look up their last name, and then you'd call the 17 people in the phone book with their last name to try to find the right one. That's how that used to work.
I never did that. I would, if I didn't know who they were, I would just say, like, all right, I'll just go by their house.
Well, if you know them well enough to know where they live, don't you think you know their phone number?
No, not necessarily. Maybe I just dropped them off after school. I don't know. I don't remember phone numbers very well. Houses I can remember. Phone numbers, not so much.
This coming from the guy who uses GPS to get everywhere in LA, including the Target that we pick up dry goods from every couple weeks for the last, like, several months.
My brain is preoccupied thinking of other things, like what is Jeff Goldblum's job in this movie, and why does he know how to do everything? By the way, I love his suitcase laptop that he has in this movie. That's always been an interesting thing. You punched him in the head. The last time we saw him, you got him in a fight and you punched him in the head. Not punched him in the face or punched him in the nose or punched him in the mouth. You punched him in the head.
I think
I
that's
imagine
a
him
statement regarding
punching him.
his ineptitude as a physical combatant.
I imagine him punching him like on his forehead.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, maybe.
Nearing point of contact, Echo 1. We're closing in.
Roger that. You're going to commence sequence when ready.
I wonder if we have a flashing light protocol for when the aliens arrive. If we have determined that flashing lights are our going to be our main form of communication.
Judging by how well this goes, I'd say maybe shouldn't be our first choice.
Yeah.
I mean, we just gotta get some music notes.
Mm-hmm.
A very small, simple amount of music notes.
So I'd like to point out with David's laptop here, a laptop with a phone on top of it, which is amazing. I'm guessing that's like a version. Is that like a version of Wi-Fi? So that you don't have to be connected to get internet. That the phone kind of is your connection to a modem, and then that routes it. I'm sure that there are people who remember. See, I don't even remember Apple laptops at that time and why you would have a laptop with a phone attached to the top of it. But I'm guessing it's some sort of a modem system that would allow a wireless connection to the internet. Because as we soon learn, being able to wirelessly upload things and download things will become very critical. I also love that he took time to program a very dramatic clock ticking app on his computer. Call me crazy, but I think this is maybe one of the most threatening things you can do, is to fly directly up to an aircraft and then shine very bright flashing lights, the effects of which they may not know, directly at them in a potentially random pattern. And the other thing that I thought is, why would the aliens give them a heads up here? Like, why not just ignore them? Because the clock is about to wind down. I mean, this is really what clues them off that something is very wrong. Like, just ignore them.
Clues them off, huh?
Clues them off. Just ignore them. Or you know, leave them hanging. Or send somebody out to just kind of stall them. Just kind of BS them for a while.
Stall them?
Yeah, stall them. Now, I've always been a little annoyed that this awesome shot of the White House explosion coming up, which looked, that was the shot that was in the first teaser trailer for this movie that was on the Super Bowl, that in the movie they put the helicopter, and I think a pretty poorly composited helicopter, in front of it. Because that is such a cool effect shot, which is a practical shot. They built this big model and just blew the hell out of it. We'll see it in a second when it comes up, but I've always been annoyed that they covered up that effects work, and I imagine the model makers probably were a little bit too.
I saw this movie a somewhat ridiculous number of times because, for reasons I can't explain, my paternal grandfather found this film delightful.
My great
joyful.
uncle I went to see this movie with, and he loved it. He thought it was great. So this
Uncle Bobby?
Yeah, Uncle Bobby.
Wow.
Uncle Bobby loved this movie. So this movie had a great effect on the older American, apparently, because perhaps it was the I don't know. I don't know what it was, but
I mean, it's in spirit. It's Americana.
It is very Americana. The good guys win, the bad guys lose. It's kind of a John Wayne movie on steroids.
Well, in a way, it also has a really positive message about global unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, America being right about everything and telling the rest of the world what to do.
No comment.
So this actress, they're opening up, and then that was Vivica A. Fox's friend. I knew her from Saved by the Bell, the college years. She was one of the new crew. She was Kelly's roommate, and Leslie, the other new college roommate. So that's where I know her from. A little factoid for you there. I wouldn't look. I would think this would. This guy too, big trailer guy. I don't know if I would be stopping and looking. I would say this is probably very bad. How does this end positively? I don't know how.
See, here's the thing, though. Here's what's different. Now, I promise you, you would see everyone holding up their phone, and you'd see them recording.
Everyone would be recording.
Everyone would be live tweeting and Instagramming and whatever else people do with phones.
So this move that Goldblum does has affected me for the rest of my life, because every laptop I've owned, if I ever walk into a room, sit down, and hit the space bar or open my laptop, I think this. Time's up. Yeah, no, this is bad. You should at least duck. At least duck. What's going to happen? Do they think a laser light show is about to start? What do they think is about to happen? Oh, dear. And there goes nothing. And again, these look so cool because this is real fire. These are real explosions. And that's one thing I don't think computer graphics can do yet, is realistic fire. That guy, what's he doing? He's filing? The aliens are... Who... That's got to be an agency. That has got to be an agency, and it's some guy who's just a bootlicker who's like, well, I'm going to show you Ari Gold, or whatever the equivalent of Ari Gold is, by staying in and doing paperwork. Well, I hope that talent contract was worth it, because you just died. But again, these explosions and stuff, I love that it's the combination, because computer graphics can't do fire. To this day, they can't do fire very well. So combining real fire with models and graphics and compositing, I think that's why a lot of this holds up still. And we say goodbye to Harvey Fierstein. Oh. But yeah, this shot is so well done. And to add this kind of cheesy little helicopter in front, I don't know. I always hated that. I remember in the theater, I was very disappointed that they added the helicopter in front of that shot.
Dan just hates helicopters.
I do also hate helicopters in general.
Yeah, he has a much higher opinion of Suicide Squad than you would think.
That guy looked like a 90s pop star. The kind of longer hair and should dreamboat. In a different time, he might have been on the cover of a romance novel, or Like an Obsession ad or something, but no, he got toasted by the aliens. Sorry.
Obsession.
Oh no. Again, great model work. Robert Loggia. I like to think that this plane took off by sheer force of Robert Loggia's will. If he'd not been on the plane, they would have all been toast.
I always thought that they don't buckle in the child.
No. I always thought it would have been funny if the plane just was consumed by fire and everyone on board had died at this point in the movie. So you're left with like Will Smith. Because then you're left with Will Smith.
And
Vivica A. Fox. And Harry Connick Jr.
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid. Oh, well, actually, you know what? Never mind. This movie would have been demonstrably
kids
worse.
Kids are annoying, but Randy Quaid's Randy Quaid. He's fine.
Oh my God. Come on, Dylan, baby, we gotta go.
Now this looks a little bad. I will admit that these effects don't necessarily hold up so well. That does, because you were just flipping people around on wires and stuff. Now, Boomer, of course, this is the great Boomer rescue. You got to give people a reason to applaud here. Mara, you know science better than I do. Would the fire... I've heard both ways. I've heard the fireball would have gone into this closet, and I've heard the fireball would not have gone into this closet because it would require it to turn into the closet.
Well, it depends on if there is or is not a vacuum created. Yes, I know. Yay! Because since it's a tunnel, now normally just the regular dynamics of fire, you would say yes, because it would be expanding outward. But if a vacuum effect was created, like a Venturi effect, then it would be pulling the fire through the tunnel, not just exploding through the tunnel. It would be being like sucked through at that point, potentially.
Yeah.
So then no, it would not go in there. So I'm glad that I'm here for these reasons. And also because I refilled the popcorn thing
Yes,
and
thank
added
you.
caramel corn in it.
So all the smartasses like me and others like me who said that she would be dead because the fire would have gone into that closet, not necessarily true.
Not necessarily, but I mean, let's face it though, chances were low.
No. I like that Randy Quaid's first response to millions are dead is, I told you so. I've been saying it. The unexplained, again, in the director's cut, which if you haven't seen it, it does add some length to the film. The director's cut explains that he's got some sort of illness that requires medicine that they don't have, but they just left it at he's generically sick. He's vaguely sick in this movie. Very pensive. It's very tortured.
He spends a lot of this movie just staring at his child.
Oh, my head. The weight of the world is on my shoulders. Isn't it amazing how quickly the aliens can turn against you?
I don't know why I just thought it was...
I'd love to hear that he drops both the I was a fighter pilot and in the Gulf War. He's still humble bragging. She knows he was a pilot in the Gulf War. Oh, the aliens. The weight of the world's on my shoulders.
Wish you would have said that earlier. I would have just humble bragged for the fun of it.
Oh, my head.
I'm wondering if he has a brain tumor or something.
Well, I mean, he just Bill Pullman plays he plays this note of being world weary. He plays world weary very well, weary and tired and put upon, as the president, let's be fair, would be.
I mean, look at every U.S. president and how much they've aged during even one single term in office.
That's true. So I guess I spent about 8 hours in that closet. I mean, what else are you going to do, really? I mean, just, wait for the sun to come up. Chill out with Boomer. I wonder if there's any fighter pilot that's like, no, thank you, I don't smoke. I'll pass. Yeah. You know, there's can give you mouth cancer, which is true. I just wonder if like everyone does the cigar thing.
You can get all sorts of cancer,
I know.
not just mouth cancer.
I know, but I just wonder if everyone does a cigar thing. If there's like Dave, it's just like, yeah, skip Dave. Dave's too good for the cigars.
I bet Dave, out of peer pressure alone, takes one, knowing that he will not choose to light up.
Yeah. Yeah. Will and Harry Connick doing their best Top Gun here. You know that singing was not in the script. They're just like, you gotta sing. No, Will Smith is all ears. He makes fun of it, so I can.
I said nothing.
Okay, that doesn't hold up so well. I didn't say all the special effects hold up. I said a lot of them do.
The miniature work does.
Yes.
General Gray here.
Al, all satellite, microwave, and ground communications with the cities are down.
Well, it's just
He's such a good weasel, James Rebhorn. He's such a good weasel in this movie. One of the 90s... I feel like the 80s were like good for snobs. You know, like Gregory Peck. Not Gregory Peck, Walter Peck. Gregory Peck is a great actor. Walter Peck in Ghostbusters. You know, great snob. Also a weasel, but a good snob. But James Rebhorn, the 90s had some great weasels. And James Rebhorn is a great weasel. Okay, now this is a little problematic. Are we going to forget that Daryl Hammond used to do Jesse Jackson in blackface on Saturday Night Live at this time? No? Let's just skate right over that. Different time.
I was so much younger than you. I was not aware of Saturday Night Live when I was still in the single digits of age.
4 whole years younger than me.
Almost
Completely
5.
ignorant of Saturday Night Live.
I was like, let's see.
What does lock and load mean? Is it applicable to a fighter pilot?
I mean, it's like one of those sayings that could be applied in almost any situation. It's
Okay.
It's like a scuttlebutt, you know? Like, it means one thing. It's physically a water fountain.
Yeah.
But it means, like, you know, the gossip, the juicy bits.
Okay.
So, you know, I think it transcended what its original, as in use of hand weapons.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, now look at the monitors. You look at the ships, that was great. Now you're going to look at the monitors and look, and now these things are blowing up, but nothing is happening. Again, not how Roland Emmerich sounds, but for the purposes of this commentary, exactly what he
Depending on how many White Claws we get into this, I'm really curious to see how Roland Emmerich sounds at the end.
Yeah. I'm thinking 2, maybe 3. We'll see. I mean, we're not even an hour into this movie. We got like an hour and a half left.
Well, I was going to say, I always forget just how long it takes for us to get our Brent Spiner, and then just how quickly he goes away.
He's in the sequel, though.
He is. Although, why'd we have to bring that up?
I don't know.
That movie.
Now, what's going on with this guy that crashes? Did his plane break? This guy. There's a complete failure of the stats.
I
don't know what that means.
I was not a pilot. I have no input for this.
I'm sure that there's an explanation, but it is sad to see any pilot experience stat failure. Oh.
I did some like simulator training for flying, and they had me do an instrument landing, and I gotta say that it was in a simulator that I knew I would survive. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
This is where you should, as Top Gun taught me, I think it's where you should bug out. I think this is where somebody should make the call to just turn around and go home. This is obviously not going to happen. The shields have been very well established. It's time to head home.
All right, Dan, what would be your call sign?
I don't know. Nervous? Nervous one.
I don't think you understand what call signs are supposed to do.
Avenger. You know,
Just
because like
because?
the Avengers are named after Captain Marvel.
But I mean, just because?
No, I don't know. I'm just making a joke.
Oh.
Get him out of there! Ooh, he's got a yelling voice. So the geography here has always confused me a little bit because we're over Los Angeles and then we're very quickly into like the desert, into like Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Mexico. I mean, this is not Pasadena by any stretch of the imagination. I guess we missed the hour and a half where they were just flying and running away from them.
I don't know, maybe they were going to Coachella.
I'm gonna try something.
Man, don't do nothing stupid over there.
You know me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, Jimmy is about to be a Burning Man, so maybe.
That was not planned.
It's funny, I remember one of the behind-the-scenes clips that they used to show was just Will Smith sitting in a cockpit saying those lines, and it's just him sitting there going, Jimmy, no! But no one around him. Because this is back in Orange County, right? This is Del Toro. El Toro. Home of Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, for a minute I thought you were about to say Del Taco.
Maybe there's a Del Taco on base. I can't confirm that.
Oh, I could go for a churro.
By the way, I liked how they put the ships in the reflection of the window on that shot there. Again, a little touch that they did. When I talk about computer effects, another thing is I think a lot of these shots look great because they didn't have 700 effect shots to do necessarily. They had a lot of practical stuff that it wasn't all relying on computer stuff. They had models, they had different units and different specialties that you could do it. So I think a lot of the effects look better because you spread it around different kinds of techniques, different kinds of artists. And so you're not reliant on one kind of effect to execute everything in the movie. A lot of these are background plates that are shot that you're compositing things into, etc. You don't have to just put it all on the shoulders of one or several teams of computer artists to execute all of these shots. Woo! You got a little woo in there. Can you just attach a parachute like that?
Again, I can't comment. I'm going to say, why not?
I'm sure there are pilots that could explain that and say, yes, you could do that. But it seems a little odd to me. Now, this landing right here, did he just break both of his legs?
Well, okay, no.
Or are you supposed to go boneless?
Well, okay, you are not supposed to try to break your fall with your legs because then you will absolutely break your legs. You're supposed to let your legs buckle. You're supposed to let you fall down onto and you're not supposed to fall directly on your bottom either. You're supposed to kind of tilt and roll a little. I just love him screaming. Sorry.
So was that proper? Was that a proper landing?
I mean, again, I'm not what are the people?
Military advisor?
No. Rangers? They're the people that jump out of planes, right? The army people? Don't they do that?
I mean, I've jumped out of a plane. I'm not a ranger.
You know what I mean? The military, aren't they the ones that do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes.
Not my department, but anyways. No, but my understanding of, physics and the human body.
Yeah.
So that wasn't, clearly it wasn't all bad because the real person that did that probably didn't break both their legs.
Yeah, true. Two things that happened right there. Number one, curious to me how Will Smith could knock out an alien with one punch that was in an impenetrable piece of body armor. But I'm thinking he's a little dazed from the crash. Maybe he was on his way passing out anyway, and it was just that little punch that sent him over the edge. Number two, Will Smith very clearly says, "Welcome to Earth."
He does.
There. I don't know where this "Welcome to Earth" thing came from, but it clearly says "Welcome to Earth." So let's dispel that. Let's dispel that right away.
I think that was like the very first GIF thing. Because think about how many GIFs there are where the person is
That was
clearly
up there.
saying like the not right thing.
Yeah.
So I think this was the very first version of that, except it was just in pop culture. It wasn't a moving image that people put on Twitter.
I like that he had 2 catchphrases back to back there. He had "Welcome to Earth," and he had, now that's what I call a close encounter. He's test marketing. He's test marketing the catchphrases there. Like Air Force One. Like Air Force One is different than any other plane. I mean, it is, but like that, you won't get airsick on Air Force One.
Well, or for example, I am incredibly phobic about flying. I take so much medicine in order to fly. You think that me being on Air Force One and knowing it's the safest possible way to fly ever would maybe feel any better? No. Mm-mm.
I think his dad was just trying to get him to vomit. I think he was bored, and he's just wanted to make his son puke.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, good job.
All you need is love. John Lennon, smart man, shot in the back, very
I always love this look of disbelief as if she doesn't know who John Lennon is. Ooh, he's drunk too. Maybe that's why he's puking. It's not because he was sick. It's because he was drunk.
No.
I know the equilibrium.
Well, no, I was about to say maybe that's why he gets airsick. Maybe he actually has an equilibrium condition.
Yeah.
That could explain it.
I know that it is after a very catastrophic event, but this idea of letting a civilian just stumble upon a meeting between the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of Defense, and the President, talking about surely to be classified military strategy is it's just like, I was looking for the bathroom. Yeah.
Now,
this is why you don't let civilians in the room.
Yeah, this is where I can come in. Nuclear winter. Not a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is my favorite guilting in the entire movie. Don't give me that. He's super Jewish in this scene.
No, I was about to say, you have no idea. Back when this came out, I never would have predicted the idea that, even though my dad is much, much older than he is when he's in this movie or the age he's supposed to be playing, oh my God, that's my dad talking. Like, exact cadence, the way he would describe finding the spaceship in the 50s. Oh, man.
Look at that weasel sweating over there. Almost like a Mr. Smith thing going on there. The little Goldblum claw there at the end of the scene. He adds a little something. At the end of that, it was that little Goldblum tiger claw there. Just that kind of like,
oh, he's such a gift to us.
He really is. He's a gift to the world.
If we're ever able to actually go out and be around humans and in a room with other humans, a closed room where many humans would be, I really, really want to go see him.
Goldblum?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he plays jazz here in Los Angeles, and he'd taken time off because I guess he was probably shooting something or
he did for
whatever.
Jurassic World, even though
he was doing
a little bit.
Whatever he was doing, yeah.
Well, and then his Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah, so he'd been busy and he hadn't been playing, and then now all the clubs and bars and stuff are closed. So yes, I want to see Goldblum playing live at some point. It would be nice. Boomer barks. That's what the subtitle says here. I love how we're about to go into like slow motion here because they obviously didn't have too much of a usable shot, so you had to do that kind of weird crossfade slow motion thing. So, okay, they were in Los Angeles, right? Fighting over Los Angeles, and then on the way to crash, he flew over Area 51, which is where they go, which is in Nevada, right?
Yes.
So they flew from Los Angeles across the state of California into Nevada, into a pretty good section of Nevada. So I guess this was just a longer chase than we saw between the aliens and the dear departed Jimmy Connick Jr. and Will Smith here.
Well, it's only 420 miles away.
Still, though, that's a ways. It's a ways.
Well, I mean, when a fighter jet can fly 1,000 miles per hour, it's not necessarily that long.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is I got to say something, you know, or else I'm just going to sit here and watch the movie, which I'd be very content to do, but it'd make for a very boring commentary. So now we're about to meet like our fourth distinct set of supporting characters, which would be all these Area 51 folk. We've got Adam Baldwin here, and then of course the great Brent Spiner and his wig. I love Dave's got like the transition lenses going. He's got the sunglasses going on. Mm-hmm. But he was just obviously takes a while to transition from outside to inside. Now this is really government waste at its most. I mean, look at all these people. This ship has been crashed for, at this point, almost 50 years. And you're employing that many people on the government dime to continue to do what? To study. Oh, yeah, look, see? This is the one thing the movie explained. They show David switching his glasses from sunglasses to eyeglasses. So the one thing they choose to explain is why his glasses changed from inside to outside. So massive corruption is the answer to how they kept this place a secret. Massive, systemic government corruption.
Well, my thing is, I love how they're clearly in a clean room environment. All of these scientists are working in like clean room suits, and these guys just traipse in.
I mean, there's a nominal pushback. It's like, I'm sorry, this is a clean room, and they're like, the president told you to open it. But then Oaken, he's a scientist. I guess he's always wanted to walk into the clean room too. So he's like, screw it, I'm walking into the clean room too.
But that's what I mean. Like, he has his assistant with him, and I think there's another guy behind him.
Yeah. His assistant, whom I believe in the sequel is revealed to be his partner. Mm-hmm. So look for that subtext, which I assure you does not exist in this movie because no one ever thought that would be the case. Again, another room full of just 50 more scientists? I'm not saying that the government shouldn't have put resources toward this, because obviously it pays off in the end, but this is a lot of resources.
Well, clearly, though, here's the thing. Clearly they didn't put the right resources, because David's there for, like, a day.
Right.
And he's able to just figure all of it out. So clearly they were hiring all the wrong people if they have these dozens of scientists over a period of nearly 50 years that really just can't, or I mean, I guess 40-ish years.
Yeah.
They can't figure this thing out.
Yeah, nobody got sick at that facility in 40 years. They're like, oh, it sounds like you've got a cold. Like, none of those scientists at that same prompt said, like, what if we gave this thing a virus? Although, to be fair, again, as they're saying, it was basically a dead ship for decades. So, you know what? I'll retract my criticism. And perhaps that's why all the scientists are there. At least in that room. I don't know why all the other scientists would be in the clean room. Did you find anything? No. You know what? I think we're going to need another 10 years on this one, Chief. And a raise.
Hey. You guys want to see him?
I like the idea of like nerdy glasses that he's wearing in this one. Like that's like my glasses now. Like they're now fashionable.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The glasses I'm wearing now, when I first had to start wearing glasses, not popular. I know,
No.
big surprise that I was not a popular kid. Oh, but yeah, no, not at all.
Well, but like I'm wearing like nerdy, reclusive, can't take a social cue scientist glasses, and you're wearing like Rachel Lee Cook, she's all that. Like, look at that nerd, ugly girl glasses, and now they're hip.
Well-
now they're in fashion.
Well, no, here's the thing though. I'm going to take off the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm the prom queen.
Right. That what is that? Sixpence None the Richer song?
It is,
Kicks
yeah.
in, and then you're
Yeah.
the prom queen.
And Freddie Prinze
You're
Jr.,
bashed.
I'll convince him to not go to Harvard.
Losers always whine about their bash.
How do we get to Connery from
The prom queen.
from Rachel Lee Cook? All right.
Winners go home. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. We don't need to finish that.
no, I don't want to get demonetized.
Not unless you wanted to put some sort of really fun little sound effect over that. But, keep it clean for the kids.
I like that they throw in that the aliens have ESP and telepathy. Like Luke Skywalker back to tanks. I love Goldblum just very suspiciously eyeing these tanks. Are there going to be any aliens on your alien tour? Signal.
Here's the thing I love. I haven't seen any of these men have any sort of access to like facilities, bathing, shaving. They are all perfectly clean shaven. Like Goldblum looks like he's never sprouted a facial hair, and he is a hairy man, a very hairy man.
They all shaved on the plane.
Of course.
Yeah. Or they all have very slow growing beards.
Sure.
I love this idea that we are now at Area 51, the most restricted and secure facility in the United States. A caravan of civilian vehicles shows up. Will Smith has one alien, and they're like, let them all in.
Well, I also love that they did not apparently have any idea these people were coming or felt any need to go meet them further out in, away from the base, to try to stop them.
Let them pass. Let them all pass. Not just this one truck with the alien. Let all of these civilian vehicles, hundreds of them, pass into this secure base.
I also love, though, that Winnebago is just like Bill Pullman's in Spaceballs.
It is. It is very similar to that.
That was my first Bill Pullman, by the way, was Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. I wish you loved it as much as I did.
Yeah. I love that. I love that acting, and I love that it sounded like he was running out of breath at the end of that line. See, Atlanta. So not only was Marty killed, but his mother was killed.
Well, at least they don't have to live without each other.
That's true. I love this shot. Being exterminated. That was the starring shot that we used in the Honest trailer for Independence Day for him.
Oh, yeah.
I know this because I edited it.
Hasn't anyone told you? El Toro has been completely destroyed.
I know that he didn't want to be the one to tell him that, but I do have to ask who would have told him that El Toro had been completely destroyed.
I don't know.
The president? I'm just saying that, I would leave that to the general because I wouldn't be like, oh, hello, Captain Hiller. Yes. Did you hear that your base has been destroyed? Sorry. Anyway, the bathroom's over there. Got Sarah Connor vibes going on there. It's maybe the most unbelievable thing in this movie is that someone in Los Angeles was using the subway.
And they were happy about it in any way for any reason.
No one, I promise you, no one in the Los Angeles metro area has ever uttered the lines, "Thank God for the Metro Rail." She looks a little disheveled. She's got some dirt on her face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she can't even hold that judge. A little bit judgmental. Oh.
I kind of got the impression she felt bad for her for assuming anything that made her bring it up, not necessarily like, oh,
yeah,
exotic dancing. I don't know. I didn't quite get that vibe. I'd like to think the best of her. She's not going to be around long anyway.
That's true. Now the question being, she voted for the other guy. I've always wondered: is the president a Republican or is he a Democrat? Because he's painted to be a bit Clintonian. So that would have meant that she voted Republican, but then I guess he could have been a Republican too, which means she voted Democrat. I don't know. All right, now this, by the way, I have to say, this jump scare here, I saw this movie probably the second or third time in the theater with my uncle, and they had reclining seats. It was the only theater in Little Rock that had reclining seats, and he almost flipped backwards into the, like, it didn't recline like a recliner, it rocked. I should say seats that rocked. He almost flipped backwards into the row behind us.
Is this Charlie? This
is my Uncle Charlie. He was a man. He was not a small man, and it was the only stadium seating theater in the state, I think, at the time. Big, huge screen, and he almost flipped backwards. And I knew it was coming. I just didn't say anything because I was kind of a dick. Because when you're a kid, you just want to see your uncle get scared. Ooh. I think this movie actually might have been one of my first aversions to jump scares because I remember being almost traumatized by that happening. And then the one coming up where he gets slammed against the glass, too. Like, this movie traumatized me, and I didn't see a lot of horror movies when I was a kid, so I think this may have been part of why I'm still so averse to jump scares. I like this scene. This is almost like a Sam Raimi-esque
Well, I was just about to say, I wonder if Spider-Man 2, like, kind of drew influence from this.
I mean, it's very similar to the Doc Ock scene, so it's like, but then it's all, that's similar to, it's like, who inspired who? Yeah, I guess at that point, but. Has anybody been paying attention to what was happening in there? No? Oh, man, we were at lunch. Did they start already? I guess so. You would think they would be there for the entire surgery, is what I'm saying. Isn't it amazing how quickly doctors will turn against you? Oh! I always found this to be very creepy, that it was... I take it as it's manually manipulating his vocal cords with its little arm thing. Again, it's a very alien-influenced thing. Or is it using its telepathy?
I'm gonna say maybe telepathy in that it's it's using the tentacle to physically position his body, but also to, like, just like you said with the face hugger, where it's like it's wrapping and coiling around, where if he resists it, that it'll just kill him.
Interesting. So he's a good president. He's trying to negotiate a peace between this random foot soldier and the alien race. What if this alien was just a dick? And the other aliens really would have taken a piece, but he's like, nah, man, screw that. So this is like the only place where the telepathy really comes into play. It like scrambles Bill Pullman's brains a little bit, which they reference in the sequel, but like they never again reference the fact that these aliens have telepathy or ESP or anything like that.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I got the impression that that little exoskeleton thing, that it inhibited their ability, like that they had to have their actual physical little alien body and the second eyelid, you know, retracted.
Yeah, maybe. I love when they ask, is that glass bulletproof? And he says, no, sir. Like, he's very proud of that. Yeah, he's definitely dead. I know that they bring him back in the next one, but like he is intended to be dead there. I saw his thoughts. Anyway, when they ask if that glass is bulletproof, and Adam Baldwin says, no, sir. Such pride is like, we don't take security precautions like that in Area 51, sir. It's a very good, it's good for the plot that they're able to read minds, because then it provides them the motivation to say,
Nuke 'em. Let's nuke the bastards.
Well, I mean, I get that knee-jerk reaction, but still, though, again,
Yeah.
they really fudge the numbers on the nuclear science aspect of that, but, you know,
is it a good idea to have a staff break room at Area 51 so well stocked with liquor? I don't know. I guess when you've been studying the same spaceship for 40 years and it hasn't turned on any time except for the last 2 days, there's really not much else to do but get loaded, because, you know, like, what are you going to do? Like, hey, you want to go walk around it again? Okay. I love that they picked this particular time to rehash their marital difficulties. I guess if the world's ending, if it is the end of the world as we know it, as REM so rightfully prophesied in the very beginning of this film, may as well put to rest these marital issues. I actually always liked this. I like that he just steals a helicopter, because this feels in character. Just tell him I hit you. I think that's where I really, really liked this character was, you know what, I'm going to steal a helicopter. I'm going to go find my future wife. Do you really want to shoot me? No. Just tell him I punched you in the face. Late. And then he's gone.
no, you gotta say my future wife the way Tommy says it.
My future wife.
That wasn't your best one.
No, it wasn't. It was more like Borat. No, that's a shame for Houston. Houston, Texas.
What about it?
They're about to get wiped off the face of the planet.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You were eating popcorn.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know it's Houston because that interstate goes to both South Houston and the University of Houston.
We have confirmation.
Launch code confirmed. Alpha Zulu 689er standing by.
Mr. President.
There's a Mr. President. Thank you. So, you know nuclear stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess with alien technology, it can basically do whatever the movie decides it wants to do. But, like, to withstand a nuclear blast at point-blank range, I mean, I guess alien technology can do whatever, right?
Well, all right. Just stop me. Just stop me because I'm gonna go for a minute.
Okay.
All right. Clearly, it's very likely it's not made of terrestrial materials. So, it's possible, unlikely but possible, that it can withstand both the temperature aspects of a nuclear explosion, the percussive aspects of a nuclear explosion, and the radiation aspects of a nuclear explosion. It's possible. Unlikely but possible. I don't know if they ever actually say how many megatons it is. I don't know exactly, but it's... Well, here's the other thing, too, is you have the EMP to worry about, too. So, I mean, there's a lot of aspects of this that are perplexing.
But I'm guessing the intimation is that the energy shield, whatever it is, while susceptible to a virus that was crafted on a Macintosh computer, could potentially be of such a nature that would allow it to withstand a nuclear force.
Well, you know...
Alien energy shields can do whatever they want, I guess, right?
I suppose. I mean, I could crack that nut a lot of different ways. There's a lot of ways to talk about that, none of which are interesting. Because A, I have no visual aids. 2, no one wants to know this. And C, yes, I intentionally ordered and numbered it like that, but you know, just in case. But C, that's not what people are here for. People aren't even here for me. I just showed up because this half of the sofa is mine.
But I mean, we know what's going on in this movie. I mean, you could watch this movie with the sound off and know what's going on. You know, these are things I don't know. I mean, it seems like that's a pretty powerful spaceship, which I guess is what you're supposed to take away from that scene. Oh, well, yeah, that's a pretty powerful spaceship. Now, we have a pretty powerful moment coming on here. Also, I don't know if you knew this. Winner of the MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss.
No.
Yes, coming up right here. This was a Best Kiss winner. This is an award-winning moment. I remember this movie awards very... that was the starring shot for President Laura Roslin, by the way. Mary McDonald. Here we go. Bang. Bucket of popcorn right there. That's a popcorn winner.
Wow.
Yeah. I wonder if I should... while we're going through all this, I'm going to look up what were the losing kisses into that Best Kiss moment. I mean, it won an Oscar, but I think we can all agree that the real winner was the MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss. Here we go, 1997, Best Kiss. Now, the aliens blowing up New York actually lost Best Action Sequence to Twister for the truck driving through the farm equipment.
Wow.
So I would say that Matthew McConaughey, by the way, won Best Breakthrough Performance that year for Time to Kill. We're going to talk over all this medical drama because, whatever. Claire Danes won Best Female Performance for Romeo and Juliet. The winner, Independence Day for Best Kiss, it was up against Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon in the movie Bound. Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes in Romeo and Juliet.
Wow.
So I think that might be a bit of an upset there.
Yeah.
Christopher Daniel Barnes and Christine Taylor. So I believe that would be Greg and Marcia Brady from a Very Brady sequel. And John Travolta and Keira Sedgwick from the movie Phenomenon, if you remember that movie, which not many people do. So I would say, Leo and Claire Danes, pretty stiff competition there. And then Bound also with Tilly and Gershon, depending on who's voting. A bunch of teenage dudes voting. Kind of surprising that Independence Day would win. But yeah, that's the Best Kiss winner. Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise won Best Male Performance that year. Now, Independence Day was up for Best Movie.
Whoa.
But lost to Scream.
Good for you, people that voted. Although The Rock being in there,
The Rock,
that also really...
Jerry Maguire, Romeo and Juliet, Independence Day, and the winner was Scream.
I bet Independence Day and The Rock split the vote, and Scream picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doug Liman won the award for Best New Filmmaker for Swingers.
Don't hate me. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the internet. You're not allowed to hate me. You're stuck with me.
And the Lifetime Achievement Award, I believe, went to Chewbacca that year.
Like, they go to a fictional character?
Yeah.
I've never watched the MTV Awards. I have no understanding of what they are other than fun, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the president's wife has died. I'm glad we talked over. I'm glad we talked over maybe the most serious moment in the movie with the results of the 1997 MTV Movie Awards.
This is the kind of really insightful stuff you're gonna get if we keep doing these. Which you know what? It would be great. Why don't you guys comment what movie you would like to see us do a commentary for?
Yeah, as we're entering
own a few movies.
We're entering the home stretch. I love that this movie literally signifies when you're in each act because each date is a different act of the movie. So as we enter the third act, which is July 4th, and Jeff Goldblum stumbles around here drunk as a skunk. Let us know what movies you want to see us do. Really it should be dictated by what other years of the MTV Movie Awards would you like to hear the results of, and then we'll just structure an entire movie commentary around that.
I'd also like to point out, this is just, a little tidbit for the viewer at home because you can't see us. Fun fact. So Dan and I, we cook for one another basically every day. Usually he makes lunch, I make dinner. We're just snacking on some really awesome cheese and caramel mixed popcorn that my dad sent me for my birthday because it's a Midwestern brand. You can't get it outside of the Midwest, and he sends me bags of it all the time. Mm-hmm. My side of the sofa and coffee table, which we built on our own, by the way, perfectly clean, tidy.
The coffee table, not the sofa.
Yeah, no. Well, technically we did build it, but IKEA made it.
IKEA designed it. Here we go, critical moment.
Well, last but not least, though, Dan's computer is just covered in residue and popcorn. I don't know how you do it. He is a very tidy eater as far as, he doesn't make a mess. But somehow, some way, there's always just, a chaos left behind from anywhere that Dan has eaten food.
Chaos. The one piece of popcorn never falls the same way. Jeff Goldblum, he taught me what chaos theory was at a very young age, and I've been using it the rest of my life. I love to think this poor guy, his one word in the movie I think is what? He probably made a lot of money off that what. This movie plays on TV a lot. Oh, I think you might have gotten another one there. Hey, they're here. Oh, never mind. Okay. This guy's kind of a late entry. I thought he was just a one-line wonder, but he's got a few lines here, so he's definitely making money off of this movie. Is it your obligation, as if you were to carry a sidearm, is it your obligation to just give it to whatever senior officer asks you for it?
Short answer, yes. In the sense that the way it works with the UCMJ is that you have to follow all lawful orders. You have no reason to believe that that's not a lawful order because, in theory what it's for. He's a superior officer.
Yeah.
But Like, if he was like, give me your sidearm, I want to blow the president's brains out, then yeah, no, you shouldn't do that.
Speaking of, however, he obviously knew that that was going to happen, that there was going to be a ricochet.
Yeah.
What if it had just ricocheted and hit the president right between the eyes? Like, just for him to make a point. Not worth it.
No.
I gave it a cold. So this movie took place in a really good, I call it the computers are magic period, where in a movie like this, computers and the internet and everything else, so little was known by the average American about how it worked, that all you had to do was just have somebody like Jeff Goldblum, say something like this, would just say computers. We're going to infect it with a virus, and people would go, okay. Well, except for the people that knew anything about computers, who would roundly laugh at this movie out of the theater.
Well, I mean, it's just like hacking, you know?
Yes.
Like
hack.
Hack just meant anything.
Yeah, hack. You know,
keyboard noises, clickety clacketing, and then yeah.
It's been hacked.
Oh man, you know, I was a fraction of a second away from doing my Akbar.
The shield is down.
My Akbar's better.
Yeah. There's only one explanation for why this character acts this way in the movie, and that is that he's an alien. He doesn't want this counterattack to happen. He very much wants the president to nuke the remaining major cities that have not been destroyed by the aliens. I think an interesting fan theory for this movie is that the Secretary of Defense himself, James Rebhorn, is in fact an alien and is working from the inside to undermine the government, and very nearly succeeds, if not for this scrappy group of one cable repairman and one pilot whom NASA has blacklisted for dating an exotic dancer. Again, what if they'd removed the clamps and the ship had just crashed to the ground?
Any questions?
Let's do it.
I love that we're at the stage where you know it's been a while because everyone is just taking off their jackets. The president took off his jacket.
Goldblum's still completely clean shaven.
Yeah.
Like a baby's bottom, that face.
He shaved while he was drunk.
That's the best time to do that.
Yeah. I've done it.
Well, you're more daring than I am. I don't put sharp things near my face or jugular when I've imbibed.
Yeah. There's an art to it. Ooh.
He even
weasel.
calls him a weasel.
He's
I
such
forgot
a
he
weasel.
called him a weasel.
Nimziki. No, now, I don't know if you want to be taking the Lord's name in vain, even if you're not a religious man. Do you really want to tempt any kind of fate at this point? Now, everyone's taking their shirt off, taking their jacket off, except for Connie, who has changed into a Jeff Goldblum. You can see how his influence on her, because she has started to dress like Jeff Goldblum now. She's changed out of the business attire, and she's now wearing the open shirt over the ribbed tank that Jeff Goldblum wears. And, of course, the montage where America informs the world what's going to happen. And also solves the Middle East crisis once and for all.
Well, all right.
It's about bloody time. It's a bad accent there. I love that when we go to Russia, it gets just like, oh, boom, 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 oh. It's like they're inside, it's raining, everyone's smoking. Oh, my goodness. And then it's like a World War II bunker here. It's just like we've gone back to the 60s stereotype of every country. Now, the aliens have been studying us for decades.
It would seem.
They did not learn our most rudimentary form of communication, which is Morse code.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things where humankind is already so far below them that our lowest low, as in our most basic thing, is so basic that they really truly didn't conceive that it would be something that they would be crippled by, or that would, you know, it's the hubris. That's what always undoes the villain, usually.
So here's my question.
All right.
He obviously drinks a lot of alcohol.
Who?
Randy Quaid.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
yeah.
him? He's in this movie.
I do.
He obviously drinks a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Is it cheaper to buy the little hand bottles, or shouldn't he graduate to a bigger bottle at some point? You just think by volume he would want to, and they're obviously living on the cheap, that you'd want to grab. Maybe he's like one of those people that quit smoking, but they're like, oh, I don't buy cigarettes, I just bum them. So he only buys the little bottles of alcohol because he's like, oh, I'm going to quit drinking. I don't drink. I just drink these little bottles. I don't know.
Either that, or maybe he's like we are with ketchup. We buy the large bottle of ketchup and then we put it into a smaller bottle of
That's
ketchup.
True.
Because I like the way that lid works, like the little, you squeeze it and it doesn't make a mess everywhere bottle.
There could be a funnel, some kind of a funnel transfer going on.
Yeah, I mean, because if you drink that much, you possibly have an addiction, and usually you hide that sort of thing by behavior. So
That's true.
Small bottle. I mean, I don't have pockets big enough, for a 40.
I think we fixed the movie.
Except the nuke will not detonate at impact. You'll have 30 seconds to get your...
I like that Robert Loggia changed into like his field camo. Even though he's not going anywhere.
Well, you never know. Maybe he didn't have another cop, like his formal like dress uniform. Maybe he only had one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was able to get a hold of fatigues or something like that.
True. See, Connie now is dressed exactly like David.
Well, she probably had to borrow clothes from people too, because that's a men's shirt.
Yeah?
Yeah, like David had a little bag or whatever. His dad had some stuff.
Yeah. Maybe that's his clothes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I have one of your shirts that I wear.
That's true.
That I stole.
But where'd the high-waisted pants come from?
The entire 1990s.
That's true. Yeah, they were just sent to you in the mail in the 1990s.
And they're back in style today.
Yes, they are. Well, and he's got a uniform. There's just he's got changes of clothes hanging around.
Yeah, but that doesn't
makes
look
sense,
like
though.
his uniform though.
No, that's
because it doesn't
definitely
have
not.
rank insignia on it or anything. So they probably dug that up for him.
I believe that this chaplain here, this is Rance Howard. He's the father of Ron Howard.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never recognized him. I guess I just never. There's so many people in this movie.
Yeah. He was a actor for, many movies.
How many?
Many.
When we graduate to another level of our relationship, is it going to be a dolphin ring?
Yeah. I've already got it all planned out.
Oh, nice. Is it made from real dolphin?
Yes. Rance Howard, sadly, passed away in late 2017. But, father of Ron Howard was in Universal Soldier, was in Far and Away. Obviously directed by his son, Ron Howard, was in Nebraska. Many movies. I'm trying to go back, going all the way back to 1956, Frontier Woman. So here we go. Perhaps the best speech, certainly of the 90s. We're not even going to talk over this one. We're just going to sit and watch it because, let's just watch this a great piece of cinema.
In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world.
Hell yeah. Would like to point out, we've been talking about shaving. That best extra ever. Randy Quaid found time to shave. At some point between his induction into reinduction into the armed forces and that speech. So
Well, he would have to though for his mask.
Oh.
To get a seal on his mask, you have to have a clean shaven face.
Really?
Yes. That's why it drives me crazy in movies, like with nuclear personnel or firefighters and things like that, when they are not clean shaven.
Mr. President?
I mean, you can have a mustache as long as it doesn't extend past the corners of your mouth. But yeah, you can't get a proper seal on your breathing device.
By the way, that's what I say every time I board a plane. I belong in the air.
I thought usually you said, Mara, you have to be able to walk or they won't let you on the plane.
That too. By the way, I don't think that the Secret Service would accept that as acceptable security protocol. Like, excuse me, where's the president? Oh, he took off in a plane toward the alien ship. The vice president's dead, and so is the rest of the presidential line of succession. But he said he belonged in the air. So, you know, what are you going to do? Well, yeah, but the president wish he hadn't brought God's wrath down on him now.
Be careful, okay?
Is she wearing mithril? I think she is. I think he's bequeathed upon her the gift of mithril.
I just love it. There's nothing like as a newlywed getting ready to go on a road trip with your bro instead of on honeymoon.
Yeah. I like that they let Boomer hang around. Because why not? At this point, the clean room's been compromised. Any semblance of contamination, keeping it out, is gone. Let the dog in.
Well, plus, honestly, they're going to end up, if this works out, with a bunch of dead aliens. They'll have plenty of stuff to study.
True.
We actually have been watching Lost, and I remember that, you know, after the first couple of episodes when we figure out who Vincent is, the first thing I said to Dan, I said, I have to know right now if the dog makes it or
Yes.
I will not watch.
Yeah. By the way, he just pulled a Lloyd Bridges in Airplane. Picked a hell of a way to quit drinking.
Yeah.
Picked a hell of a day to quit sniffing glue. Fat lady. I'd like to think that David was not listening to him at all. He just heard him say fat lady. He's just like, whatever you say. Yeah, okay, fat lady. Yeah. Fat lady. So I've had the struggle that Will Smith is about to have many times on a new video game, particularly these flight simulator games. The is up up or is up down, and is down up or is down down.
Is it inverted, is what you're asking.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, they had not set the controller settings for the alien spaceship to, well, they had set it to inverted and did not tell him. Oops. Okay, now this is what I don't like. Is left and right are now inverted, but I doubt that left and right are inverted. I think it's just that you pushed when you should have pulled,
Exactly.
or pulled when you should have pushed. Like, I doubt that left and right are now also backwards. So you whatever.
It's like riding the Hulk.
Yeah. Plus, do you really need a reminder of what left and right are?
I hope not, if his job is to fly things.
That thing literally just said forward is forward and back is back and left is left and right is right. Yeah, no shit. I kind of know that. 26 minutes. It's about how long's left in this movie. Pulling no G's. Again, spaceship. I'm guessing that they probably have some sort of gravity compensation so that you're not pulling big G's when you're leaving the atmosphere.
I do like, though, that even though he wants to go work for NASA, again, maybe it's spaceship magic, but there are a lot of fine points to exit and re-entry into Earth's atmosphere as far as angle being too shallow or too deep. And, burning up and stuff or bouncing off the atmosphere. Yeah. I just like that he just is like, I'm going to head up.
Well, he's done the simulations. He knows where he's got to hit. This spaceship design has always been very interesting. It's always like Beetle-like, almost. I thought it was like, it would have been easy to do just a big flying saucer in space. I like that they went with something a little bit different.
I mean, in a way, it might make sense because, it's meant to be, like, their whole thing is they're there to harvest Earth's resources. And the saucers are, like, combat vehicles to just disable and destroy the human race. Perhaps the big bug-like vehicle is kind of like the version of the world engine, as in it has an actual utility and engineering purpose. So, I mean, it should look quite different.
I like it. That's what I'm saying, is I like the fact that they're not just going, like, big saucers everywhere.
Oh, no, I don't, like I said, I don't disagree. I just mean it might actually have made logical sense anyway, from a design perspective, to have it, have a purpose.
Yeah.
Instead of just looking cool, which it does.
It does look pretty cool. Go into the triangle. Again, they're doing a lot of cool stuff with scale. It's the reason these effects won an Oscar.
I gotta say that is just one thing that, even though I am terrified of flying, that if it's possible before I die, I would love to be in space in some way. Like, if civilian space flight becomes a real thing, that is 100% happening before I'm dead, I hope.
Yeah, I'd go to space. I'd let several hundred people do it first. But then I'd go.
No, I'm not gonna be anybody's guinea pig.
No.
Although, if it was free.
No, not even free.
I don't know. Free is a buzzword for me.
Yeah, still. The inside of this I always like because it's, the aliens have a very kind of organic feel to them, kind of slimy, and you have tentacles. And I like that the design of this feels kind of organic. It's certainly not industrial. Everything's at kind of oblong, and this looks like kind of a hive, and it's very misty, and the green lights, the shafts of light cutting across. I like that it gets this feeling across of a very, an organic species, biology, that is almost, this feels like it's almost like they breathe through this sort of vapor in the air, even though they're very similar to us. You could have gone very, very simple with this design, and I like that they instead went a little more complex in this idea of like a hive mind and a central place that they bring everyone in. Now he's about to make reference to several features which I do not believe are available on cars anymore. Reclining bucket seats. May as well have said rack and pinion steering.
Yeah.
Power windows. Now you just call them windows.
Yep.
Oh, he's online with the host. Hack.
Oh,
Hack.
Look at that binary.
You're either going to go with this or you're not. You're either going to just roll your eyes and buy the fact that he's uploading a virus to an alien computer system, or you're not gonna. And I know there's plenty of people that don't. And when I said, on my Discord for Patreon that I was going to do a commentary for this movie, a lot of people said, "Oh, really? Yeah, I get it. This is a dumb movie, and maybe you probably don't like it as much if you are not in the very sweet spot that it hit me in. But I have to say, this was such a big influence on me because it was spectacle. It showed what technology at that time could do. It was a very influential movie for me. And I've seen it countless, dozens of times, and I still love it. And so I think that you can do this. You can acknowledge that a movie has flaws. You can acknowledge that a movie is stupid, but still love it because it influences you in other ways. And that's how I'll always feel about this movie. I have memories that I associate, warm memories of my family. By the way, that guy has a huge beard and he had a mask on.
Wow.
So not everyone shaved. But I have a family with, very warm memories of this movie and watching this movie. So I think that's part of everyone's movie-going experience is you have movies like this that you recognize have flaws, but they hit you at a time in your life that you cannot disengage your love for them on certain levels.
Well, sure, but I mean, part of it is also moments when you choose to be cynical about a movie. Like, I promise you, there are some people that really have a distaste for this movie, and they say it's dumb and it's unbelievable, but they like Star Wars, which is a film about space wizards. Like, far more unbelievable than the idea of intelligent alien life.
Well, and also this movie's not lazy.
No.
No one is phoning it in. You don't feel a contempt for the audience at any point.
Well,
so
they worked hard. The craft of making this film was an undertaking.
Yes, and even though it does have unbelievable elements, like you never feel as if there are any shortcuts being taken in order to say, like, well, the audience is idiots. They're gonna like that. That's my problem. That's been my problem with the Transformers films. I feel at points that they're just like, whatever, nobody cares. And even with some of the performances, they feel phoned in. Here, everybody is there 100%. A lot of them are aware of the kind of movie that they're making. And I think that's what distinguishes it from a lot of more recent films is that, there is a sincere effort to deliver a crowd-pleasing film. And yes, it's dumb in many places, but they did what they set out to do. And I think that also might be why so many people have a very soft spot in their hearts for this movie. Again here, a great combination of practical effects, explosions, etc., computer-generated ships and everything. The combination of those still works because, here you have more of a digital thing that doesn't hold up as well. If the whole movie had been that, then this movie would have looked a lot more dated, more like these shots. But when you combine those two, there are certain things that just have held up very well over the years. Sorry, people that didn't make it to the elevator. We've got a little Some Like It Hot moment coming up here with Mr. Nimzicki. Hi-yo. That's how we met. That's what I said. That's the exact interaction I had when we met each other.
Hopefully, people that have some idea who the heck we are will know which one of us was which was
exactly.
whom.
Uh-oh. That's not good. I love that the alien targeting system took much longer to fire in this instance than it did when it was over Los Angeles. Maybe they're running out of battery or something. I also love the idea that they had Robert Loggia standing over a console saying the line, "They're preparing to fire their primary weapon."
Squadron leaders, I want weapons check. Switch to interlock bus 6.
You're out of time. You've got to disable it now.
Same. it's because keep in mind when these actors are doing these lines, it is context free.
Oh yeah.
That was all done in one day of him just saying like, all right, Robert, now say they're preparing to fire their primary weapon. Now say you're running out of time. You got to disable it now. And you just have to trust that it's going to make sense in the final cut of the movie.
There's no dramatic music.
No.
I mean, it's kind of like you discussed it in Dark Phoenix, where, you know, the difference between them standing there having a arms, hands, face helicopter battle.
Yes.
You know?
You trust your director as an actor. You trust them that they are going to execute something so that you're not going to look stupid. And a lot of times with these movies, that's what happens. Now, this is the much talked about reshoot. Originally, Russell Case came in with his biplane, with a missile strapped to the biplane, like actually strapped to it, and then did this fly up. And audiences, even in this movie, found that so stupid that they went back and had him come in a fighter jet. But if you see the DVD, if you watch it, the bonus features, etc., you will see the alternate ending where he comes flying in on his crop duster with literally like a missile tied to his wing and does the "Hello, boys, I'm back," but he's in his crop dusting plane. That was too stupid even for this movie, and so they did a reshoot of him in the cockpit of a fighter jet.
Who did he con into helping him physically maneuver that missile?
Yeah.
Strap it to his plane. Like, who helped him with that?
Yep. Oh, dear. Malfunction.
Well, I can tell you, as having worked for the government...
Is this realistic?
Okay. I'll be brief. The USS Enterprise has been decommissioned, so just in case there's anybody out there that's like, oh my god, I can't believe she said that. We have these things that help control the control rods. It's called a rod control system. I know, really just surprisingly named.
Sure.
It kept catching on fire in one of our propulsion plants, one of our 4 propulsion plants during my last deployment. Just kept catching on fire a lot.
Randomly.
So much so that the fire response just became, oh no, the rod control cabinet's on fire. I'm grabbing a fire extinguisher. I'm de-energizing it. I'm putting the fire out. Like, just so little enthusiasm because it was just always on fire.
Yeah. So this is realistic that this would just kind of spark and short circuit.
I 100% believe that something that the government created that is supposed to be high-tech and important, it wouldn't work. Yes.
Well, Imitation Keanu is very upset by this turn of events. And again, this took 10 times longer, but then here we go. I don't like his character. It's so cartoonish, but at the same time, this moment, obviously, the ultimate moment of defeat. So, yeah, I don't know. I know that a lot of people have great love for Randy Quaid and for that character in this film. I think everything about it, again, even for this movie, is so over the top. But ultimately, it's a means to an end, so whatever. And then I love, again, Robert Loggia, just, again, same setup. Yeah, all right. You have to assume as an actor that you saying, yeah, all right, is going to look cool in the final version of the movie. They're also very lucky that the inertia or momentum or whatever took that ship over where they currently were stationed and crashed it into the mountains or whatever.
You know, I have a thought about Randy Quaid. He's not my favorite character in the movie. You know, I like it just fine. I don't hate him. When you think about it, though, if that had been either A, better actor, or B, a more serious performance, I almost wonder if that really does change the movie in the sense that it looks like everyone tried to make a fantastic, like, prestige level film, and the fact that it's there, it does balance out some of the more unbelievable aspects to be like, they knew what they were doing.
He has to be that bad. You're right. I think in a weird way, he has to be as bad as he is for this movie to work on the level that it does. Or you're right. It's going to seem try hard.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite line reading that. Tell them how to bring those sons of bitches down.
I really want someone in the comments, like someone who had clearly way too much time on their hands with, you know, possibly being self-quarantined. How many lines did Dan quote during the movie? Did he say, and how many of them were Robert Loggia's lines?
Robert Loggia's lines. Robert Loggia's lines are the ones that stick in my head. Mr. President, I'd like to know what the hell you're doing. Mr. President, with your permission, I'd like to stay by your side. I don't know.
He's just doing it now on purpose because I said to count.
I like Robert Loggia in this movie. I think that he's a great supporting actor and a great supporting character.
I just love how much you love to say his lines.
Yeah. And again, look at the scene between these two actors. Like, this is a well-acted scene. You really feel a lot of affection. And this is another thing where you have actors that haven't necessarily been together a lot in this movie, but you feel a genuine friendship between these two.
Yeah.
And that's why you cast good actors, even in a movie like this. That's why you cast good actors in these roles. It's funny, it's heartfelt, you care about them, you care about what's going to happen to them. Charisma goes a long way. All right. Load Jolly Roger, execute.
Goodbye. I'll take care, all right? Nothing but love for you. Nothing but love for you.
This is almost certainly all improvised.
Hey, I'd let them just... I mean, Goldblum, I would always let Goldblum just say whatever. And Will Smith, I mean, with their powers combined...
They saved the planet. They are Captain Planet.
Ha!
Peace. Now, I always thought... By the way, I think that was the sound of a cat when the missile burst through the... I was always afraid because you see this little flashing button on the missile. I was always afraid that the alien was going to reach up and like push it and it would deactivate it. But as it turns out, that was not what was going to happen. My mom had a harder time with this movie than I did because she had a trouble with the suspension of disbelief. I remember she does a little bit still. When we saw GoldenEye, the scene where Pierce Brosnan rides off the cliff in the motorcycle, then catches up with the plane and goes in with the plane and pulls it up over the mountain range just in time. She's like, well, that wouldn't happen. I'm like, well, yeah, of course it wouldn't happen. He's James Bond. Yeah.
Funny, though, because in her top 5 movies is Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
The woman who has a problem with the suspension of disbelief.
Well, but that whole movie is ridiculous.
No, I know. Your mom is delightful. I'm not saying this in a bad way at all.
But she thought that this movie was
I could see
was
that.
silly.
I mean, it is silly.
That wouldn't happen.
Oh, they must go faster.
Now that's another question. Was it a intentional choice for Jeff Goldblum to do the Must Go Faster from Jurassic Park, which had happened just 3 years prior to this movie, in this film? I mean, it would have to be, right?
In that way, I would say yes, because it's said twice, and it's said twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when actors can kind of call back to their previous roles. See that button? People were afraid, they're going to push that button, and then the bombs. But nope, there it goes. Ooh, pretty. Yeah, it doesn't hold up as well, but that's okay. Lots of dirt. Very dirty. No dead bodies, strangely. I think there might be a couple, but we've won, so we're not going to think about the dead bodies at this point. Yeah, see, there's the beard guy.
Well,
big old beard.
Well, that's his problem.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's a whole other discussion. Missed the pyramids. Just missed them. I love that they all crash by very recognizable landmarks from each continent that they...
Oh, definitely.
One by Sydney, one by the pyramids. Look at this clean room. Guy, you know the guy who tasked with keeping this room clean, just by the end of this was just so pissed off because you let the RV people in there. Like, you're never gonna get that room clean again.
Wow, Dan has some strong feelings about RV people.
No, I'm just mean they've all been locked in their RVs for days at a time.
That's how RVs work.
Exactly. I'm just saying that room's not so clean anymore.
Hold it. Hold on, sir. I've got something on radar.
I just once in my life want to be the guy in a movie like this that gets the line like, hold on, we've got something on radar, and that's my only appearance in the movie. But like, I just get to be the guy, the we've got something on radar guy. Look at that swagger. Look at Goldblum.
Oh,
look at that swagger. Man, they both got that BDE going on right now. Holy shit.
Man, do you think that I even come up to like Goldblum's armpits? I mean, he's just so tall.
He's a tall man.
This looks so much better than when they tried to do this again in the sequel.
I know. I also love they went and shot at these places.
That's what I'm saying.
They didn't do the CG or the green screen. They just went and shot on the salt flats. See, now he's got the sunglasses. I feel like he sent someone out to go get him a David pair of sunglasses. Is he going to punch him in the head? Don't get used to it. You're gonna get mouth cancer.
This is sending a terrible example.
Don't worry, your mother's still dead.
I was thinking the same thing.
She doesn't seem that affected, but that's okay. We did just defeat the aliens, so
it's what Mom would have wanted.
It's what Mom would have wanted. And here we go. Here's the fireworks, and we're out on a high note. And there was never any follow-up to this movie ever. There was no chase scene with a spaceship-sized queen alien on the salt flats with Judd Hirsch driving a school bus. That never happened. We ended this franchise right here with this film.
And we achieved world peace.
So yeah, Roland Emmerich, Dean Devlin, they would go on to make other films, including The Day After Tomorrow and others of that nature. Yeah, so that is Independence Day. Again, a Hallmark film for me and those of my generation. But if it's not so much that for you, I understand. Although I do think that if nothing else, that speech, the Today We Celebrate Our Independence Day speech, is a movie moment that will probably live forever. And you don't find that in a whole lot of movies. I forgot Will Smith gets top billing, even though this is a big star-making role for him. Top billing, followed by Pullman and Goldblum. Yeah, listen, this is a dumb movie. It's the perfect July 4th movie. You can put it on in the background. A lot of people have it memorized. You don't need to put too much thought into it. You can come in an hour late. It doesn't really matter. It's just a big budget.
You still have 2/3 of the movie left over almost.
It's just a big budget extravaganza. And so I love watching this movie, and I will watch it again anytime. Thank you all for watching it with me right here on the channel. And Harry Connick Jr. He gets the and. This was the 90s. He got the and. I really appreciate you spending these 2.5 hours here on the channel with me. If you want to do even more fun stuff, we're always doing stuff like this. Like I said, this is the first commentary track that I'm doing here on the YouTube channel, but this is something that I do every month over on my Patreon. If you want to check it out, patreon.com/Dan Murrell. I've done a commentary track for Jurassic Park. I've done a commentary track for Hereditary. There will be another one coming up for producer level patrons later this month.
And the best part is the producer patrons select the film that is going to be the commentary film. So our patrons choose.
It's a patron's choice. We also do the monthly movie club, a lot of other stuff. You're going to get exclusive first looks at a lot of the videos that you'll see here on YouTube. We have a show called Dan Decides, which is a Patreon exclusive show. We have a Discord community. There's lots of fun stuff and a lot of different levels for you to explore and decide if you want to join. So be sure to check me out over there. But also, I'll be here. This is is a very odd time. Obviously, not a lot of new movies coming out, and not a lot of box office figures. So a lot of it is just kind of figure out what we want to do with the channel until things get back up and running, and then even after that point. So this is another experiment. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, but this has been a lot of fun. So I hope to do a lot more of these in the very near future. But if this is the only one we do, I hope that maybe the next time you decide to watch Independence Day, you'll decide to sync this track up and watch it along with us, because I know I certainly had a great time watching it with you. So Mara, anything to add before we sign off?
The cat has just woken up.
The cat has woken up, which means it is time to wrap up the commentary track. Thank you for watching Independence Day. And have a happy, if you're watching this as we're recording it, have a very happy and a very safe 4th of July holiday. And if you're watching this in December, just apply that to next year. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, and I'll see you soon.